Manchester United have signed their first player of 2023 and it's the one and only Mason Mount. I am here with Jack to do a tactical breakdown on why Erik ten Hag was hellbent on getting this player in. So Jack, starting off, why did Erik ten Hag want Mason Mount so much and what is he going to bring to Manchester United?
Well, we saw Ten Hag say that he wants a goal scorer in that position and the chances have definitely been there for Eriksen, Fred. They're just not really taking the chances and Mount can provide that.
Do you think, where is he going to play first of all for Manchester United? That's what Manchester United fans want to know. I have my own little idea, but everyone's kind of got a different idea going on. I was messaging Ricky, he was like, I think Bruno might be dropped. Obviously, he was going to think that. I was talking to other people saying, no, he's going to play as a 10, Bruno's going to drop into the 8. Some people think he's going to be an 8. What do you think Mason Mount's going to be? So
I think he'll be that left-sided 8, that Eriksen position, switching with Bruno. I think there's a nice dynamic there between the pair, yeah.
And first, I want to ask you as well, are you happy with this signing? Because I know we were discussing it, Caicedo was on the cards, but are you happy with Mason Mount? Because it has been quite a divisive one in the fan base, but I'm over the moon. What about you?
Well, at first I was a bit sceptical, I think, as everyone was, but the more I've got to watch Mount, I think he's a good fit. And obviously I've warmed to it and now I'm a massive fan.
Yeah, well, like you said, Mason Mount is going to provide them goals, and we do have some stats to come up on the screen for you as well. We were comparing Mason Mount's stats from when he had that really good season, I think it was 20 to 21, and then comparing them to last season. Obviously, they've dropped off because, you know, last season he didn't have a good season, the same way Chelsea didn't have a good season. But we saw when Rashford had his good season compared to when Rashford... I mean, can you believe the Rashford of last season compared to the season before is the same player? This can happen under certain coaches and certain environments for players. But if you look at Mason Mount's stats when he was, you know, doing very well, his defensive stats are actually decent. His progressive stats are brilliant. His shot creating actions, you know, to creating goals, creating assists from outside the box, inside the box, they're all very, very good. So what do you say to people who don't think Mason Mount can progress the ball? Because, you know, his stats from them seasons do say otherwise.
Yeah, so, I mean, Eriksen, it's somewhere that he really struggled was his carrying of the ball. I think Mount's definitely a step up. I wouldn't say that he's elite, but he's definitely an improvement. His creation in terms of passing, carrying, crossing, key passes, it's all there. He's a nicely rounded player, and I think he's definitely a big step up on Eriksen.
Exactly, because people talk about the, you know, technicality of Mason Mount, because he does have that technicality, and also how important are free kicks and set pieces. He can also provide that for you as well, which is super important. But I think people do forget, you know, for one, his work rate is absolutely exceptional, and Ten Hag loves versatile players. If you've read his book, you will see that. And explain how versatile Mason Mount really is.
Yeah, so under Tuchel he played as sort of an inside forward, so off the left-hand side. He's played on both wings. He can play. He says himself that he's a number 8. He can also play as a number 10. So as you know, it keeps the squad size down, which is a good thing for rotation. If there's any injuries, you know, you can just slot him in anywhere really.
Bruno Fernandes might eventually get a rest, and that means we get to see the best of Bruno Fernandes. Obviously, I love Bruno, and I think I would love him to play every game, but he was getting tired. You now have the option in certain games where you can play in midfield of Casemiro, Eriksen and Mount, which, again, it doesn't worry you, does it?
No, not at all. I mean, Eriksen can also play further forwards. You've got maybe Ahmad coming back, who can also potentially play centrally. So the options are there for Ten Hag next season.
Exactly. You know, Ten Hag, as you said, loves them versatile type players. But he also wants players that are going to have that chemistry together and gel together. We know our forward line was missing quite a lot of chances and the chemistry just didn't seem to be quite there. Marcus Rashford was obviously a big one who was scoring goals for Manchester United. I personally think Mason Mount's going to improve Rashford because of the way he plays. Can you just explain tactically how that would work to the viewers?
Yeah, so I think between Shaw, I think Rashford and Mount, I think they'll be rotating between that left half space coming inside. There should be some nice movement between them. It should help Rashford to come inside a lot more. Shaw can hold the width, take advantage of his crossing, and that allows Mount to get into the box and, you know, just provide a cutback threat.
Yeah, and a lot of people are a little bit worried about his defensive capabilities. I saw Mark speaking about this, saying, you know, away at Manchester City, away at Arsenal, Liverpool, teams like this, a midfield 3 of Casemiro, Mount and Bruno will get cut through. He was basically saying that it won't be solid enough. What are your thoughts on that statement? And, you know, when you look at Mason Mount's stats defensively, it isn't the best. But in that year where he was, you know, playing quite a lot for Chelsea in a really integral part, I think you'd be surprised at how many tackles he's actually putting in, and his legs are great. He can track back, he can cover. So will you explain if fans should be worried about his defensive capabilities and in them big games as well?
I wouldn't personally be worried because I think if you look at his recoveries as well as his high recoveries, he's a very high pressing player. And obviously Ten Hag wants to move that defensive line forwards, press from the front. Yeah, Mount's definitely a big step up on Eriksen, who at times we've seen overrun.
Do you think Mason Mount, when it comes, you said Fred, potentially might be going out the door. How would you compare him to Fred? Because, Fred's put into them a lot of them games against the Cities, against the Liverpools, where you need that little bit of extra defensive cover. What would you say the differences are between Mason Mount and Fred in that aspect?
I think Fred's a bit more of a combative player. I don't think Mount's as good of a defender as Fred, but he also is a lot more rounded. There's a lot more quality there in possession. He's a lot more final third based, but he's somewhere definitely in between Eriksen and Fred, and I think he's a lot closer to Fred's work rate than Eriksen's.
If you look at Mason Mount as well, his through balls are excellent. The way he can find players, that's brilliant for the likes of our wingers in Anthony and Rashford. But I do want to just nail down this question is, do you think a midfield three of Casemiro, Bruno and Mount can work in the big games?
Yeah, I think definitely it can. United as a team need to get better in possession, and for sure Mount provides that. There are some concerns with his retention, but I don't think they're anything major. I think if the environment around them's right, then there's no reason why it can't work.
We need to step up the technical players in this team, and it looks like Erik ten Hag is definitely doing that. So another debate that's been had is a midfield three of Casemiro, Bruno and Mount. Where does that rank in the league of midfields, do you think? How good is that when you look at the top four? When you look at, Arsenal are now going to have Havertz, Rice and Odegaard. City they've not got Rice, they nearly did. They've got Kovacic, they've got De Bruyne, they've got multiple players that can play that position. Where does it rank? I
think it's a lot closer to that top bracket of midfield partnerships than it was last season with Eriksen. It's hard to judge really because so many of these trios are unproven. We're not seeing how they're going to work together. But yeah, I think we're definitely closer than we were last season, and that's all we really can ask for.
Personally, for me, I think it's better than Arsenal's. I think Casemiro. I think Rice is brilliant. I think Casemiro is better than him. I think Bruno's better than Odegaard, which is everybody crucifies me for, but I do. I'd much prefer him as a midfielder, much more well-rounded in my opinion. Odegaard's great, but I think Bruno's better. And I think Mount is definitely better than Havertz. Remember, everyone, Arsenal went for Mount first before they went for Havertz, but Mount chose Man United. Maybe it's because of the wages. But I wanted to ask you, actually, the fee and the wages, 250 grand with add-ons up to 300 grand a week, and also the fee, 55 million plus 5 million in add-ons. Apparently, Man United will be very happy if their add-ons are reached because obviously, it includes winning major trophies like the Prem, Champions League. So what are you thinking about the fee for the 24-year-old and all of the capabilities he has? Where would you rank that? Where would you rate that fee and how much we are paying Mason Mount? I'm happy with the fee.
Obviously we have gone up from our last bid that we said we wouldn't increase on, so I can see why some people wouldn't be happy. But in terms of the longevity you're going to get, the quality of play you're going to get, I think Liverpool would pay a similar fee. I think Arsenal would have paid a similar fee. So I'm not too upset about it. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it.
And yesterday, I saw shouts that, obviously, Ten Hag had played Weghorst in the 10 before. He'd played, Sancho even in the 10 sometimes, and he's pushed Bruno out onto the right-hand side. And that Mount could potentially do that, and Bruno could play on the right in certain games, such as, the Cities, the Liverpools, stuff like that, because he does tend to like to use that. Do you think that's something that Ten Hag might be looking to do with Mason Mount?
Oh, for sure. One of the positives that he will bring is that Ten Hag can change the system without necessarily going to the bench, and that's a good thing for managers to have. It means more changes can be made. So yeah, it's just going to be another asset to Ten Hag.
And it's a higher level of quality as well, isn't it? And a lot of talk about Bruno. Maybe he does push back into more of the 8 role, and Casemiro is the deep liar with Mason Mount probably on the left and Bruno on the right. We know Ten Hag likes Bruno's right foot for them crosses. Do you see that happening, or do you see Bruno still retaining his high pressing number 10 role?
I think we might see Bruno brought back a bit. When I look at Ten Hag's last Ajax side, he likes to play with 2 high number 8s and then someone who'll sit behind them. So Casemiro's perfect for that role. So yeah, I think we'll see them both play a similar height to each other, both looking to get into the final third and create and receive the ball high up.
And Shaw and either Dalot or Wan-Bissaka, whoever it is, we still don't really know who the preferred right back is. Probably inverting and covering the midfield and helping Casemiro, especially if you've got, a goalkeeper that's playing a higher line, centre-backs that are playing a higher line. It all starts falling into place, people, the Erik ten Hag's Ajax system. And, Erik ten Hag tried to sign Mason Mount for Ajax, if people don't know. He was his first priority midfielder this summer. So you've got to get behind the manager, and you've got to back it. You know, he clearly sees something in Mason Mount, and it's exciting. Disappointed that I've missed out on other targets like Caicedo, or are you happy with this Mason Mount signing?
Well, I think obviously Caicedo's a fantastic player. Whether the interest was genuine or not, that's another conversation. I'm a big fan of him, but you can't complain at Mount. He's obviously Ten Hag's top target, and you know it's always good to see the manager get his top target. So yeah, I think he fits the system perfectly.
Finally, quickly, what do you rate this signing out of 10?
Probably an 8 and 9. No, I'm going to go 9.
I'm going to rate this signing a 9 out of 10. I've been hell-bent on Mason Mount. Erik ten Hag clearly wants Mason Mount. I think he's going to be a brilliant signing. Everyone, if you listen to Jack there and you listen to the tactics behind this and why Erik ten Hag wants Mason Mount, you can understand that he's going to be a brilliant addition that I think will definitely take Manchester United up to the next level. Isn't quite enough. We still need more depth. We still need a number 6. There is positions we need to go and get, of course. But this is a great first signing for Manchester United. And I think at 24 years old, he's going to be a brilliant player for Man United. So everyone get excited. The first signing of 2023, summer transfer window for Erik ten Hag, is Mason Mount. Make sure you like the video. It's a new signing, and we'll be bringing you more of these videos throughout the window. We'll see you on the next one.